ranking the Seether albums, including 2024's Surface Seems So Far, along with their other 8 studio albums. Seether were my 63rd favorite band in my ranking system before this new album was released, so stick around in the video to see how this new album affects their position in my band rankings. In my opinion, Seether have 3 bad albums, 3 decent albums, and 3 great records. So let's get into it. First and worst, in 9th place is Viva La Waka. How do you even say that? From 2020. There's nothing of value to hear here. Just kidding. It's just kind of completely generic bleh to my ears. And when I see Sean's inspiration by bands like Deftones and A Perfect Circle, I kind of get why this is not my cup of tea. While I do enjoy those bands from time to time, this is not a direction that I want my favorite rock bands to go into or Seether to go into, and it only serves to be part of the blandest part of Seether's discography, their music, and to bring that forward is just not what I want. These songs on here, they're not too miserable. I do like Bruised and Bloodied. Dangerous is a highlight on this record. It is the highlight. And their interpretation of Dobie Gray's Drift Away, like the rest of this record, it left me scratching my bald head, and it left me unentertained. Am I not entertained? No, I am not entertained by this record at all. It is very, very not great. At 8th place, we have, unfortunately, the brand new Seether record, The Surface Seems So Far. And while I am still learning the ins and outs of it, this album doesn't have a Wikipedia page, which is never a good sign. That is a strong indicator that your popularity is on a downward spiral. But it does have some sonic character, more than Viva La Blocka Waka, but that's not saying much. Judas Mind is kind of decent for a lead single, and the other 10 tracks here are just kind of existing in the state of being Seether songs. I know I complained when they went full Deftones, but now I'm going to lean forward and give you a little hug here because how do you say that? Aviva La Raka, whatever you call it. I complained about them doing that, but I do want Seether to experiment. And to be on your 9th album and kind of doing an AC/DC thing, it's frustrating. There's nothing terrible on this record, but it's hard to keep going back to that sound. Like over half the Seether catalog has this sound. Hardcore Seether fans that like every single note of the band, stay with me in this video, because once we get past, I think, the next record, I'm going to be praising Seether a lot more rather than dissing their Deftones influence or their kind of AC/DC-like appearance in the rock world. 7th best Seether album. See, I'm positive. We're not worst. It's 7th place. Goes to Poison the Parish. And this one actually did grow on me a good bit after some lukewarm first few listens. Seether said they wanted to make a back-to-basics rock album with this one, with nothing but guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. Seether didn't want to change their sound to fit into the new version of the alternative genre, which does kind of currently sound like pop music in 2024, and I am baffled by that as well. But Seether, they're fighting the record company, which comes across as authentic. Even if it brings the AC/DC comparisons, it's authentic, and I like that. Let You Down is a strong track, in addition to Betray and Degrade, with its humorous instrumental. I mean, how many bands can make Anger sound funny and goofy like that one? Not too many. And that's why Seether are my... Where are they in my ranking system? You gotta wait for it. Now we are into the decent or mid albums, because the worst is over now and we can breathe again. I wanna hold you high and steal your ranking. At 6th place, I'm sorry about that, that was so corny. At 6th place, we have Holding On to Strings Better Left to Fray. And I love me some pop rock. I guess I like the stuff Seether made when the producers and record companies and record labels were pressuring them to go in a more commercial direction. That's where I found the stuff I like the most. Here and Now and Tonight are excellent singles, but my personal favorites are deep cuts, because I'm cool. And it's Tonight and Pass Slowly. Those are really, really good songs. There's just a lot to enjoy on this album's mix. They've got their heavier edge in this thing as well on many tracks. You got hard rock, pop rock, alternative rock. And this album, it has a good blend of those three particular sides of Seether. Now we're at the 5th best Seether record in Karma and Effect. And this one, it sounds a little weird in 2024, going back to it. It's got a lot of new metal sounds in there. They got Mudvayne kind of face paint smeared all over the guitar work, the vocals, the drums. But it still holds up really well, even though it sounds kind of like a Mudvayne ripoff. Because of Me, Remedy, Truth, Gift, The World Falls Away, those are my favorite tracks, and they really crank up the Nirvana on The One. I'm the one! Have you guys listened to Sarin Gas, the kind of pre-Seether band? They're great. They kick an album off with controversial lyrics, and if you feel like Sean's tongue has been kind of held back in Seether, you guys should check out Sarin Gas. But this Karma and Effect, it really helped to solidify my fandom that already existed with Seether. Now we are into the 4th best Seether record. The 4th best Seether LP is Isolate and Medicate. And it's a 2014 album that helped me get through a cancer battle in that year. Thank you, Seether, for that. I was so sick and angry when this album came out, and it helped me to dance despite barely being able to be alive. Thank you so much. It really helped. Nobody is Praying for Me is one of my favorite songs of all time, and Space and Coffee in the Multiverse. It makes me cry. It makes me angry, and I love the video as well. We get the goofy single, Same Damn Life, which sounds very familiar, very similar to other Seether singles. Words as Weapons is epic. Suffer It All is great. Watch Me Drown, Save Today. Make this just a hugely enjoyable album for me. And I would almost change my stance as this being a mid-Seether album. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to say we're going to include this one in the great albums. I think we're already there. You're welcome. That album cover, though, is trash. Fix that, please. That is just awful. I also think that this is a historical album in the fact that it came out around the time that I was starting to use Spotify more when it came out. Oh, and I almost forgot. Crash. Crash is an epic Seether song, so that's definitely a deep cut you should check out as well. And you'll remember it when it starts. You're like, oh yeah! I don't know why it's called Crash, but it sounds really freaking good. It doesn't sound like a crash at all. It's not a crash and burn. It's a drive safely and get to your destination kind of song. It's really awesome. Now we're in the top 3 Seether records, and at number 3 we have Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces. Wow, Seether really like these really wordy, long titles for their albums, but at least I can pronounce most of them. There's Holding On. isolating, affecting, disclaiming, and finding beauty in negative spaces. And finding beauty in negative spaces is nearly a perfect rock record for me. So many bangers in a row, like S Aside, Fake It, Breakdown, FMLMH, you know what it is. Fuck me like a Weimer! Then skipping down to Rise Above This, Six Gun Quota, Eyes of the Devil, Don't Believe, Waste, Careless Whisper orchestral version. Heck, this is so close to perfect, we might just go ahead and say we're in perfect Seether territory with this one. There might be a few skippable tracks we'll talk about. The Beauty of America is kind of what this album's about. That's what the writing on the album cover says in Chinese. And I am torn, like Natalie Imbruglia. I like the style of the art, but that girl, she looks kind of goofy. Fallen and No Jesus Christ are my two least favorites that kind of keep this album from being absolutely perfect, like a banger front to back. You can leave a comment if those are your favorite songs. They're not terrible, they're just the weaker tracks in the track list. And remember, I'm going to be re-ranking the band Seether very soon in the video, so do not leave. If you leave, it's gonna be, I'm gonna be broken when I'm lonesome, and I don't feel right when you click away. You've clicked away, you don't see this video anymore. Yeah. The second best Seether album is Disclaimer Part 2. And yes, it's very confusing that they have two albums called Disclaimer, and many of the songs are the same. But they did re-record and change a lot between the two, so it's fine. It's just a little grating with my OCD, and I'm sure it's grating with yours as well. 16 tracks, or 17, or 18, or 20. Probably by the time I upload this video, there's 9,000 bonus tracks on this thing. But all of them are, at the very worst, really great rock songs. Interestingly enough, the Disclaimer albums are the only Seether records or releases where someone other than Sean is writing songs. And we can, we can talk about the song specifically later in this video, or just in just a few seconds, because wait a minute, wait. Before we do that, we're going to talk about the ranking of Seether, and then we'll get back to the #1 Seether record. Seether were my 63rd favorite band before not As Above, So Below, before The Surface Seems So Far was released. And here and now, I wasn't crazy about the new record, right? So at first, I liked 29 out of the 82 Seether songs on albums, which is 35.36% of their songs. They were 63rd place. Now, I like 30 out of 93 songs, which gives them a percentage of 32.25%, dropping them down to my 68th favorite band, right between Fall Out Boy and Bowling for Soup. They were in between The Who and Papa Roach, which shows kind of how crazy and eclectic I am. Not really. I like a lot more than rock and roll, but it's a topic for another video. So now they're in between Falling Out Boy and Bowl for Soup. It's not bad. It's not bad to be my 68th favorite band, right? It's in a list of like 300 amazing bands. So I love about 300 bands, and there's new ones coming in all the time. So Seether are top 70 material, man. So don't attack me, Seether, hardcore Seether fans. I need to do this in more of my videos, because that's kind of what this channel is all about, is me trying to hear every song ever so I can properly rank these bands. But the best Seether album ever. We're talking about it now. Is the first Seether album ever. Disclaimer. It's perfect. It's a little more focused than its sequel counterpart, Disclaimer 2. This is the album that got me into Seether. Interestingly enough, I never owned it on CD. I did buy Disclaimer 2, which kind of includes all of these, right? Just when I had all my 90s and early 2000 bands in a row, or just when I had my 90s bands in a row, here comes all this second wave of like Stained, Linkin Park, Mudvayne, and Seether. They're like, oh, there's more of these bands coming out. The post-grunge guys, Creed, all these guys. So I saw the music video for Fine Again, and my interest was piqued. Driven Under, Gasoline, and I knew this was a band that I'd be keeping track of 22, 23 years later, right? Making YouTube videos about them. Many of these songs made the jump from the Sarin Gas album to Seether. And you know, that Sarin album, their one and only album, and I think that 6 of the Sarin Gas songs made the jump. And then Gasoline eventually made the transition well, because Sean Morgan has mind-blowing songwriting chops before he was backed by a major label trying to make him write pop songs. Those jerks. And like I said, 7 tracks if you Gasoline was a bonus track or something. Dude knows how to write a rock song. 69T makes bedwetting all the rage. I still do it even today. I did it. I think we should all just do it right now while we're doing this video. Needles, interestingly enough, out Drowning Pool's Drowning Pool. Hot damn. I don't care if you're a bedwetter. I don't care if you are.